Welcome back, friends. So, this is week 7 and we are into South Asian writing. We are also into Indian writing in English. Um, I know that I have been focusing a lot on fiction, but that's the way it is for reasons that I don't want to discuss for the purpose of this course. Now, when we talk about Indian writing in English, the great Indian novel, Rushdie at the center. So, we are no longer talking about the earlier masters, Mulk Raj Anand, the great R.K. Narayan, um, and also Raja Rao. So, we are no longer talking about that generation. When we talk about 80s onwards, so see, in the complexion of Indian writing in English changed after the appearance, after the publication of Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. And Rushdie onwards, we have become more global, more international for a variety of political and cultural reasons. Again, I don't want to get into the nitty gritties of that for the purpose of this course. Now, there is Rushdie at the center, but then there are greats all around and younger writers who are still functioning, who are still garnering all kinds of international and national awards. So, we have Tabish Khair, we have Arundhati Roy, Amitav Ghosh, Kunal Basu, Upmanya Chatterjee, Vikram Seth, Kiran Desai, Anita Desai, of course, Vikram Chandra. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, so let's not get into the political question that why are some names missing and some are not. Yeah, if they are missing, then it's just because it's a sin of omission and not commission. So, there are some names, of course, who are very important. Pankaj Mishra, for instance, Kiran Nagarkar, for instance. So, these are extremely important writers who are writing at the moment. We are talking about contemporary writers. So, in today's class, I will be focusing more on practicing tests which focus on these writers. Of course, I will do the first couple of slides and questions would be focused on the earlier generation also, but then the focus would be on more contemporary authors. Perhaps they are important or rather more important for your competitive exams. So, and of course, you know that the entire course that we have been doing so far, the idea is to supplement whatever you are doing. Is of course not the only thing that you are supposed to do. You have to supplement and complement it with your major readings also. If you are into, for example, the NET JRF kind, then you have to go for the history of English language and literature. Liguis Kazamias is the best work. M.H. Abrams is the best work for literary genres and literary terms. So, yeah, let us move on to the practice tests. Now, the first question, in R.K. Narayan's Dash, so you have to name the novel. Vasu, an eccentric taxidermist, invades upon the conservative home of Nataraj, a local printer in the fictional town of Malgudi. A. The Bachelor of Arts. B. The Dark Room. C. The Man-Eater of Malgudi. D. The Talkative Man. Next one. Identify the book. Charat Singh was feeling kind, though he did not relax the grin which symbolized 6,000 years of racial and class superiority. Won't you draw us some water, please? We beg you. We have been waiting here a long time. We will be grateful, shouted the chorus of voices as they pressed towards him, some standing up, bending and joining their palms in beggary, others twisting their lips in various attitudes of servile appeal and abject humility as they remained seated. A. Coolie, B. The English teacher, C. The white tiger, D. Untouchable. Next one. Which work is summarized below? Morez Zogibi, the last surviving son of a dynasty of Cochinese spice merchants and crime lords, is also a compulsive storyteller and an exile. As he travels a route that takes him from India to Spain, he leaves behind a tale of mad passions and volcanic family hatreds, of matriarchs and their mesmerized offspring, of premature deaths and curses that strike beyond the grave. Which work is summarized here? A. The ground beneath her feet. B. The Moor's last sigh. C. The Enchantress of Florence. D. Shalimar the Clown. Number 4. This writer is also the author of A. The Shadow Lines. B. Joseph Anton. C. An Equal Music. D. The Assassin's Song. Next one, number 5. In which novel does Amitav Ghosh describe the lives of the people living in the Sundarbans? A. The Hungry Tide. B. The Shadow Lines. C. The Calcutta Chromosome. D. The Sea of Poppies. Number 6. My name is Karim Amir and I am an Englishman born and bred almost. I am often considered to be a funny kind of Englishman, a new breed as it were, having emerged from two old histories. But I don't care. Englishman I am, though not proud of it, from the South London suburbs and going somewhere. A. The Palace of Illusions. B. Midnight's Children. C. The Buddha of Suburbia. D. English August. So, which work is this passage from? Next one, number 7. Which award did the writer win for this work, this particular work? A. The Booker. B. The Commonwealth Prize. C. The Whitbread Award. D. The Wales Book of the Year. Number 8. The writer is also the author of A. The Namesake. B. The Life of Pi. C. Moth Smoke. D. My Beautiful Laundrette. Number 9. Identify the novel here. The novel is named after a poem from Kuruntokoe, an anthology of classical Tamil love poems. It was inspired by the autobiography of James Skinner, a 19th century Anglo-Indian soldier. Which novel are we talking about? A. The God of Small Things. B. Red Earth and Pouring Rain. C. Swami and Friends. D. The Oath of the Vayuputras. Number 10. Which work by Vikram Seth is set mainly in London and Vienna with excursions to Venice and Northern England? A. The Ground Beneath Her Feet. B. Two Lives. C. Beastly Tales. D. An Equal Music. Number 11. In which novel by Kiran Nagarkar does the protagonist become fascinated by a film starring Shammi Kapoor and Asha Parekh? A. Ravan and Eddie. B. Cuckold. C. The Extras. D. God's Little Soldier. Number 12. What's the name of the uncle, also a Rhodes Scholar, pickle baron and radical Marxist in God of Small Things? A. Joe. B. George. C. Chaco. D. Ammo. Number 13. Identify the work. The plot is set in Banaras and is about Samar, a civil service aspirant. Samar comes into contact with Rajesh, an impoverished fellow Brahmin, a hanger-on at the university, and Miss West, an English woman. Number A. A suitable boy. B. The romantics. C. Nectar and sieve. D. Fasting feasting. This novel by Rohinton Mistry is set in mid-1970s India and is narrative about four unlikely characters who come together in circumstances no one could have foreseen soon after the government declares a state of internal emergency. A. Such a long journey. B. Family matters. C. A fine balance. D. The scream. So, which novel are we talking about? Next, number 15. The plot of this Girish Karnad play is derived from Thomas Mann's retelling of a story in The Transported Heads. The story here is retold, a retold story of The Transported Heads by Thomas Mann. A. Bali. B. Hayavadana. C. Broken Images. D. Nagamandala. Number 16. The play is by Manjula Padmanabhan. The story is about a young organ donor named Om who volunteers his organs to an American woman and the consequences that come with such a decision. It is considered a futuristic satire on how third world countries are being taken over by first world countries. A. Harvest. B. Tara. C. Yayati. D. Silence, the court is in session. As I have already cautioned you, don't assume that all these plays are by Manjula Padmanabhan, but you need to know which one is by Manjula Padmanabhan. So, let us discuss the answers here. Number 1 is C. The Man-Eater of Malgudi. Vasu, Nataraj and taxidermist. Vasu, who sort of imposes himself on Nataraj, the printer's life. It is a hilarious novel, something that I strongly recommend. So, answer is C. The Man-Eater of Malgudi. Kumar the elephant also appears in this novel. Number 2 is D. Untouchable by Mulk Raj Anand. Number 3, B. The Moor's Last Sigh, again a very postmodernist novel by Salman Rushdie. And number 4 is B. Joseph Anton by Salman Rushdie. By the way, in the third question, all the titles listed are by Salman Rushdie. Number 4 is B. Joseph Anton by Salman Rushdie. The other 3 novels are not by him. Number 5, A. Sundarbans, Amitav Ghosh is The Hungry Tide. And number 6 is C. The Buddha of Suburbia by Hanif Qureshi, an important South Asian, an important writer from the South Asian part of the world. He is a British, Indo or Pakistani British writer. So, Hanif Qureshi. And the book also won the Whitbread Award. So, number 7 is C. Number 8 is D. My Beautiful Laundrette, which is a play, a screenplay and also a movie, all by Hanif Qureshi. So, number 9 is B. Red Earth and Pouring Rain by Vikram Chandra. The title is based on a classical Tamil love poem. Number 10 is D. An Equal Music. This is Vikram Seth's An Equal Music. And number 11 is A. Ravan and Eddie. The protagonist Ravan gets obsessed by a film called Dil De Ke Dekho, starring Shammi Kapoor and Asha Parekh. Number 12 is C. The uncle's name is Chaco. Number 13 is B. The Romantics by Pankaj Mishra, set on the bank or the ghats of the Ganges in Banaras. Number 14 is C. Rohinton Mistri's A Fine Balance. Number 15 is B. The story of the transposed heads is reworked and retold in Girish Karnad's Hayavadana. And the last one is A. Manjula Padmanabhan's Harvest, which is also made in a film, adapted for a film called Deham, that is body. So, what have we done today? We have looked at certain landmarks of South Asian and also Indian writing in English. We have done some plays, we have looked at certain plays, but majority of it is fiction, of course, by virtue of this being a more popular kind of a genre. So, the idea is to go through these works, the summary of these works. See, the other day I came across a question that Kumar the elephant appears in which novel of R.K. Narayan. Now, you have to understand that these are tricky questions. You have to read the novel properly, whether you are doing history of English language and literature or you are doing a course like this, you have to read the works. A course like this can be an excellent supplement for the main reading. So, novels have to be read, plays have to be read literary theory and criticism, you have to read yourself. We have just given you pointers towards what to read and what approach to take. So thank you very much. In our last week, we are going to focus on world literature, particularly European, and a little bit of more British and American literature. So thank you very much.